What is up, guys, and welcome to our mental performance training for this week. I'm super excited to jump into this with you guys because I think this is something that a lot of people often struggle with. And mental performance in general is just such an important tool, but most people will never do it. Most athletes will never take the chance or never even have the opportunity to learn about mental performance. And I want you guys to, first of all, reframe your mind to think about how can we use our mind as actually a weapon or a tool in our game, instead of something that's constantly pulling us back or trying to fight for how we can be better in those type of ways. How can we actually use our mind to be our greatest weapon instead of our greatest enemy? So many of us, the way we talk and we use our mind is either, well, we don't use it at all because we don't think about it, or it's that we use it in a negative way. I first want you guys to understand that this can be the most positive and the most beneficial weapon or tool that you could use in all of your sports. So we need to think of it this way as we start to learn about mental performance. So as we start today, I just want us to think about failure. I have been watching a lot of tennis recently. I'm watching all these super high level tennis players. And I think it's so interesting how they can hit this really awesome shot right down the line. Nobody would ever get to it. But the difference is between a hairline. They could hit it and it's just barely out. And what happens? Well, they get all upset. They might throw their racket on the ground, yell at their coach, and all these terrible things start running through their mind. Or they just barely graze the line and they end up getting the point. Well, the crowd starts cheering. Everybody's cheering them on. They're super excited. They're pumped up. Which reaction is going to get them to play better in the next point? The one that got them hyped up and excited for the next point. They're like, oh, I'm playing great right now. I'm killing it. Or the one that was like, dang, you're terrible. You can't do this. You're messed up. Somebody's messed up. Something's going wrong. And you can't do any of this. Which one's going to perform better on the next point? Well, obviously, it's the one where you're excited and you're like, wow, I hit it. And I want you guys to realize that it's not always about whether you make the point or not. Sometimes we get so results-based that we only think it matters if we get the point or not. And yes, don't get me wrong, it does matter that you get the point. It is important to compete in your sport. Maybe think about this in a different way. If you're shooting a basketball, what's the difference between if it just barely goes in and out, but you shot a great shot, it was the right take, it was the perfect shot, your form felt great, everything like that, but it went in and out, or if it went in, how is your mindset going to change because of that? So start thinking about what are the things that you would think about in those situations. If you made it, you'd probably be more likely to make the next one. So I think of, as we go back to the tennis example, Roger Federer, one of the greatest tennis players of all time. He won 20 major titles in his career. That is an incredible feat. For any of you guys who don't watch tennis, just understand it's an incredible feat. He's top 3 all time in major titles, which is incredible. He was giving a speech at the end of his career and he explained how he only won 53% of his points, meaning that 47% of his points he lost. And we realized that even with the best players in the world, they still lose a lot of points. They still don't make every shot. They still don't make the right decision every time. They make a ton of mistakes. But the difference is, how do these athletes cope or kind of deal with these mistakes is the better way of putting it. How do these athletes bounce back quickly? They realize that, okay, maybe I just barely missed the line, or maybe my shot went in and out, but I know I'm going to make the next one. They have this insane confidence about themselves. Not because they know that they made that shot, but to get themselves to react in a way is, okay, I can do this. I made that one and I'm going to go get the next one. I want you guys to think about, instead of just thinking of, okay, it's right or wrong, black and white. It's a good shot or a bad shot. Let's think, maybe even if we mess something up, maybe we shoot a good shot in basketball, but it goes in and out. Or maybe we make the right read, we make the pass, but the pass was just a little bit off. Was that a bad rep? Or was it a rep that we can learn from? Was it a rep that we can maybe just tweak something really quickly and then get better because of it? I think if we can get out of this mindset that it's all or nothing. If we mess up, we should flush it and do nothing about it and be upset about it. Well, we're never going to get better that way. The best players in the world, they take their mistakes and they learn from them. So next time you make a mistake, whether it's good or bad, just write it down. Be like, okay, that mistake actually helped me get better at this. All right, so here's what I want you guys to do this week. In a practice or a training session that you have, I want you guys to play so hard and force yourself to make decisions and be in situations where you have to make mistakes. And then write down 3 mistakes that you made that were actually positive mistakes. Maybe you took the right shot, but it didn't go in. All right, well, of course it didn't go in, so that's not good. But we took the right shot. So let's be thankful that we learned to do that, and let's learn to make the shot next time. Instead of saying, oh, I'm terrible, I can never do this. All right? So that's your goal this week. So in one practice or training session this week, write down 3 mistakes that you did that were actually positive mistakes. And how can we learn from them to be better in the next time? Once we learn to use our mind to actually be our weapon, that's when we'll finally show up to be our best. Not just one day, but we'll start stacking wins, stacking mistakes, actually ultimately lead us to be the greatest that we can be. All right, keep changing the world, y'all.